Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to At the Table with D. Monique. I'm your host, D. Monique, and here we have real conversations with real people sharing their real life stories. Our special guest today is Bobby Roberts. Hey, Bobby.
Good morning. Good morning.
And Bobby's going to tell us about a program that he's involved in Savannah, Georgia. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody for listening to the podcast, following the podcast. I appreciate the messages that you guys send me on my inbox. And people that I know personally, I appreciate the comments that you tell me in person. So please continue to like and follow this podcast. Before we get into this conversation, y'all know we're going to have snack time. Because snack time is my favorite part of this podcast, because what is a good conversation without a snack? So if you don't have a snack, pause the podcast, go get you a snack, and then come back, okay? All right, y'all should have your snacks. And now that we have our snacks, Bobby, you got your snack?
I have my snack.
Okay, don't show it to us yet, Bobby. Before we eat our snack, we're going to say our grace, because as I told you guys, I am from the South, Southern raised, and I used to spend a lot of time with my great grandmother Lucille. And one of the things that she always taught us, to make sure that we always gave God thanks for the food that we were going to eat, regardless of what it was. So if you would please join me in a quick prayer. Bow your heads. And Heavenly Father, we thank you for this food that we're about to receive. We ask that you let it bring nourishment to our bodies. And Father God, we pray that during this podcast today, that some message in here touches someone, is able to inspire someone to improve their life, motivate them, help them along their journey. And so, Father, we ask and we thank you, and we ask you for these blessings in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So, Bobby,
Yes.
I think I might know what your snack is, but I don't know. I don't know for sure. So tell us what your snack is.
Well, my snack is something that is decadent, something that is one of my I guess he's my nephew. He's actually my coworker's son. He calls it
Uh-huh.
clouds and ice cream.
Okay.
So this is bananaless banana pudding. So
Bananaless.
bananaless banana pudding. So it has the flavor of banana pudding. It
Mm-hmm.
has the consistency of banana pudding.
Uh-huh.
It's without the bananas, and it's delightful, and it's made with premium ingredients. You see the chessmen
I
cookies
see
there?
them. I
Yes,
see
yes. And
them.
they're throughout. They're throughout. Yeah, so this is what Bobby's Dessert Bonanza does with banana pudding. It's a cult. It has a cult following in Savannah, Georgia. So if you are in the area, definitely hit me up. Follow me on Facebook, Bobby Resourceful Roberts. Definitely on Instagram as well. Just look up the hashtag Bobby's Dessert Bonanza. You see it, Bobby's Dessert Bonanza.
I
Probably
see.
reading the opposite way, but
No,
Bobby's
it's
Dessert. Okay,
they see it. They see it.
okay, very good. So check me out. Check me out. Check me out. It's the
Yeah.
real deal.
So, Bobby, I want to talk about your snack for a moment,
Okay.
because I have seen you post pictures, and it's like, it seemed like you just kind of shared it, like, oh, I'm making banana pudding, and then people started requesting it, and now it's a business. So, I mean, is that what happened? Tell
That
us.
is okay. This is how the origin of it.
Okay.
I love banana pudding. I love bananas. Just don't like them together. So
Okay.
I was like, let's see what I can do. So I got this recipe, and I was like, gave it to my family first, and it was like, this is good. So took it
Mm-hmm.
to some events. I said, well, would you pay for it? And it was like, yeah, I would. So I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh. So I started sharing it and
Uh-huh.
went to some pop-up shops that are here local.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just took off from there. For the holidays, I get requests ridiculous request, so they don't have undesirable desserts on their plate for the holidays. I only need 24 hours notice. All right, so if you have a dessert need for the upcoming holidays of Juneteenth, Father's Day, or July 4th, all I need is 24 hours notice, but only locally in Savannah. I haven't mastered mailing it yet because I don't want it to lose its integrity.
Right.
So, yeah, if you're local, I can definitely make you a believer.
Nice, Bobby. So, okay, we eat on this podcast, Bobby. So, do you
Okay.
have a spoon so you can take a bite and you can tell them?
I do actually.
Yes,
So I don't actually have a spoon, but I have a fork, which does the
that
same thing.
works. That works.
So the unveiling. Okay.
Yes. Tell us how it smells when you open the container. Like, get us all involved in this
Oh my
experience.
goodness. So when you open it, the aromatic aroma of the bananas just, they got a little cookie at the
It
top.
is so
Oh
cute.
my goodness. And it's the same way every time. All the pictures I post are
Hmm.
in that moment. I don't take old pictures and no, it's
Right.
that picture. It's every time, every time, every time. So I have a picture I'm going to upload today where that's how this came about.
Hmm.
Um, a patron wanted. I have beaming bowls, so I answered the call.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dive in, and you see the cookies are so fresh. You can't look at it. It's a little softened now because it's been refrigerated.
Right.
But look at the texture.
Nice. And just like that little baby said, it looks like clouds.
Man, it looks like clouds. So, and I do it in vanilla as well. So if you don't like bananas for whatever reason, I do a red velvet and I do a banana trifle. Yes.
What?
So instead of the cookies, you have cake.
Okay.
Mhm.
Like the old school would say, shut your mouth.
Mm,
That's good.
you all look at that, delicious, absolutely delicious.
Nice.
And I'm not,
Nice.
stroking my own ego. I mean, if you
It's
taste
truth
it, you
is the
actually say the
truth.
same thing too. You would say the same thing too.
Yeah, listen. The truth is the truth, Bobby. Truth is
Now,
the
who
truth.
tells it?
Well, listen,
Um,
I I thought about it because I was like, I bet Bobby is gonna have his pudding. I like a sneaking suspicion. I was like, I bet Bobby's gonna have his pudding. And I thought about making a pudding myself
mhm.
because you may not know this, Bobby, but I'm vegan, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
I chose to have a vegan diet. I eliminated, all meat and animal products from my diet. But I will say I have created a really good vegan banana pudding.
Oh.
Yes. And so one day if I'm coming to Savannah, I may have to make some, put it on some ice and let Bobby try it. So see if I
Really?
get your seal of approval. But I'll have to remember no bananas.
No banana yet.
No bananas. You like the banana flavor? Is it the texture of the bananas
Yeah,
that
and then
mhm,
it ages so quickly with the bananas. Because I like
mhm.
bananas, just don't like them together. Bananas and
Okay.
pudding together. But this considering your refrigerator, typically banana pudding lasts what? Actually probably a day or two.
Yeah,
But
because it'd be so good.
right. Oh no, but the bananas though starts to ripen a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like ugh. So
Yeah.
this can stay in your refrigerator. I've heard clients say, "Hey, that pudding was in my refrigerator for day 3, and it still tastes the same as day 1."
Okay. Okay.
So
All right. Well,
mhm.
I don't have banana pudding, but I did I meal prepped at the beginning of the week and I had so many bowls of fruit left, and so I didn't want it to go to waste. And so my snack for today is a fruit bowl medley. So I have some pineapples, cantaloupe, honeydew, uh red and green grapes, blueberries, blackberries, and kiwi. So
Okay.
it is a whole medley. This could be a gospel choir, okay? Yes.
Love it.
Yes. And I don't know who grew these blueberries, but the blueberries have been my favorite piece of fruit in this medley all week. Like, I am, with every bite, I'm trying to find a blueberry. And we all know that blueberry has a lot of different health benefits. So, the weather's getting warm. Go cut you some fruit, because who wants to stand in front of the stove all day long? Not me. So, definitely a bowl of fruit can be your friend. Okay. So I told you we eat on this podcast, Bobby.
I see. I see.
Yes.
I am a
So
believer.
let me get my little chew on, and then we're gonna start the conversation.
Okay.
Um, I'm not gonna do a big intro for Bobby because he's gonna give us so much information. Um, you guys are going to get to know him throughout the podcast, because I know he's going to give us a lot of information, because I got a lot of questions to ask him. Okay, so we'll find out about him as the conversation progresses. So first of all, how you doing? Let everybody know how you doing. They know you're doing good because you just ate that good banana pudding.
Yes, yes, yes. I am doing extremely well. Just a lot to be grateful for.
Hmm.
So I have no complaints, no complaints, no complaints
I won't
at all,
complain. Wait,
at all,
I
at
got a
all.
question, Bobby. Now you have a really deep voice. Do you sing?
Uh, Occasionally, I am a musician. I play. Well, I haven't played in some years. I'm a trumpeter that have enjoyed the musical experience since fourth grade summer all the way to college graduation. So I've
Hmm.
had a long time with music, but I don't sing formally. But if you are in the car with me and a bass line or a song comes up, and my friends are like, I never heard that in there before. I'm like, is there. So I'm that musician. So
Okay.
don't really sing,
Uh
but I
huh.
just love all things music. I was in a jazz band, marching band, concert band, orchestra, you name it. I've done it. I have sang in the choir as a youth, and at my church we have a male choir that I have sang with occasionally. But
Hmm.
definitely, music is my heartbeat. Um,
Yes.
my mom, she sings all the time. She used to always, she hums, and my niece sings as well. So music has always been a part of our life,
Hmm.
and I just love music. So that's a little shameless plug. With so the arts are definitely needed. If you know of anybody that is considering music, or you need youth to participate in something, definitely try music. The studies show that
Hmm.
if you are a musician, your aptitude is a little higher, because you have to do more
Okay.
things with music. So definitely connect young people early to music, because it can definitely change their lives. I traveled the country at 16 years old with my trumpet because I was in band. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, I went to London, England, spent New Year's of 96, well, 97. So definitely it's a great opportunity for all.
Yeah, you know what, Bobby? I forgot until just this moment that you were in the high school marching band.
Hmm. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes, yes. Great
Yeah.
times, great times,
Yes.
great
And
times.
you know what? I think, when, like you said, it definitely does help students, because, for one thing, whether you're an athlete or you're a musician, if you don't keep your grades up, your school is not going to allow you to continue, because why? Academics come first.
Mhm.
And so they don't allow you to participate in those extracurricular activities. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
a motivation for young people.
Yeah. So tell us, Bobby, what college did you go to?
Graduated undergrad from the Morris Brown College. Um, Morris Brown is in the heart of Atlanta. It's in the AUC Center. It's a part of a conglomerate of, I want to say, maybe 4 or 5 other institutions.
Mhm.
But Morris Brown is founded in 1881. We have had some challenges, but we are on the continuous rise. Yeah, class of 2002, Morris Brown College, criminal justice. Um, yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
So now the reason that we have Bobby here today is because he works at Savannah State and you work
Yes,
with their Upward Bound program.
indeed, indeed. Yes, the Upward Bound program. Never imagined myself working with young people. My goal was to go to law school and become an attorney. Um, and God was like, "That's your goal. That's not the goal I have for you." So
Uh-huh.
I listened. Um, I started youth development back in actually undergrad. I was an RA, a resident assistant for
Mhm.
3 years. So I was already planning programming for young people that were my age as well. But
Mhm.
just being in charge, being responsible for others, um, planning activities, making sure that they were safe. That's how I started with youth development. And then when I graduated with a degree in criminal justice, I worked in youth development is again with Bryan County Family Connection. I was basically a mentor coordinator. So what I did was, um, when young people got in trouble, they would come
Mhm.
to this office, and basically I would provide them with programming again to
Mhm.
make sure that they had positive outlook, connecting them with community service opportunities. And I was like, well, what could I do to get young people to never even have to work on this side and never have to deal with
Mhm.
uh, a diversion program? So an opportunity with Upward Bound at Savannah State was online. And at the time you needed a master's degree, and I was completing my master's degree at Savannah State in public administration. So I was like, hey, it's just an application. It's not costing me anything.
Mhm.
So I applied, and I think they said there were 30 applicants, and I've been here since 2005.
Nice. So 30 people applied and you were their number one. That's
I
awesome.
was their number one. I was their number one.
That's awesome. You said
Yes.
2005?
2000 February 14th. So the day of
Oh,
love,
yes.
2005. Yeah. So I'll never forget my work anniversary.
So tell us a little bit, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about what Upward Bound does.
Upper Bound is a pre-college program for first-generation low-income students. Basically, it's designed to bridge the gap to higher education for first-generation students, basically giving them support academically, culturally, mentorship, all in efforts to increase high school graduation, which of course is going to happen, but definitely to increase college enrollment and matriculation to graduation.
When you say low income, how how much can a family make, and still be able to qualify for the program? Do you know those numbers, or is that something through another
It
that
all
goes to another
depends
office?
on the size of the household,
Okay.
and it's the taxable income. So it's not the gross; it's the taxable income. So I always tell families, because I make too much money, you don't know what our formula is, so just and this is for across the country. Just apply, because
Mhm.
there's several opportunities for your child or your children to be to gain access to TRIO programs, because Upper Bound is a component of several programs that are designed to assist low income families. So it runs from sixth grade, which is educational talent search, to post baccalaureate, which is doctoral degrees, and that is through the Ronald McNair program. So we have ETS, Upward Bound, we have Upward Bound Math Science, which is also high school, and then we have Student Support Services, which is the college-based program, and then of course the Ronald McNair program, which helps students in the doctoral process.
Okay, so basically, you guys, if you're listening, don't think that maybe because your family doesn't qualify for maybe state benefits that you would not qualify for this program, because I know that Upward Bound does a lot. And so any child that can get into this program, I feel like they will be really prepared for college, right?
Yes,
Like,
definitely.
yeah, because you teach them how to create resumes,
Create
right?
resumes. We do job interview skills. We help them with elevator speeches, so basically they can share who they are in a minimal time. So basically, we give students soft skills. Yes, we want to make sure they know their math, science, and English, but we give them those soft skills that they'll need as they transition throughout life. And the thing is with Upward Bound, we give them so much that they can share with their family. So if they have cousins that aren't attached to us, we're still being supported by the information sharing. So just as your child is not, and accepted to our program, they if they have a cousin that is, they can still learn some additional things. Because I always tell our students, don't just keep what you're learning to yourself, share with
Mm-hmm.
others, because more people that are empowered with information, we have a stronger community in which we live and thrive.
And I'm so happy that you said that, because that's the purpose. One of the purposes of this podcast is to share information, because sometimes you may have an interesting conversation with someone and you're like, oh man, I wish my mom, my dad, my friend was able to be in on this conversation. So that's why we have these conversations on here. They're recorded and anyone can tune in to listen to it.
Yes,
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah. So what about academics? Are there any academic requirements to be a part of Upward Bound?
There are we enroll students that have a 2.5 GPA, which
Mhm.
is really not high, but our goal is to get them to a 3.0, to get
Mhm.
them with the support, because our program is designed to assist students who are interested in going to college. A lot of people feel that, oh, this that program is going to change them. It's gonna it will change them, but we have to meet students where they are, and
Mhm.
we provide them with the support. But our goal is to have them ready for college. We're not magicians. I don't have a not Merlin and say, hey, your GPA is 1.0, but now I can make it a no. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the work. You have to be interested in college, because everybody is not interested in college.
I'm glad to know that you will allow students who have, like you said, a 2.5 GPA, because I think we can't expect every kid to have a 3.0 or higher, right? And when they come into programs like Upward Bound and they see that, oh my goodness, there is a chance that I could go to college, it motivates them, right? It motivates
Yes.
them to raise their GPA, to do their homework, be involved in class. Because one, they know that in order for them to continue with Upward Bound, they have to have a high enough GPA, but then
Mhm.
also they want to have a GPA that colleges require.
Right. And that's what our goal is, to have them so prepared that when they transition, it's like, oh wow, I'm doing this. Oh, they told me I could. I felt that I could, but now I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, do you help them when it comes to applying for college?
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Our students, we actually have a application night. So, um, our seniors, we get with them November. So before they go home for the Christmas holidays, they have applied to minimum 5 schools. Um, they have already taken the SAT, ACT at least twice. And when they leave that activity, like I said, they've already applied to 5 schools. Also, too, we have a FAFSA night when we come in and we do the same thing. When they leave that day, they're done with their FAFSA. So when they go home for the Christmas holidays, they would have already applied to school, already had their FAFSA done, because the FAFSA opens October 1 of every year. People always talking about, you always talking about education. That's what I do.
That's
It opens October 1st of every year. So definitely families, and they did that because a lot of families would wait. But in the tax issue, the tax return would be an issue. But the federal government said they got rid of that as well. They said, okay, we're going to link it to the federal government. So you don't even have to worry about producing a tax return. You can definitely do everything in the FAFSA form. So, and they are making some changes because that's what the federal government does. They're
right.
making some changes. So definitely be on the lookout. If you are in school now, or if you're preparing to go to college, definitely look out for those changes. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for the changes in federal student aid. But yes, our
Okay.
students, we definitely, and we have them apply for scholarships too, um, because they're low income first generation students, and I know I was low income first generation, so I needed scholarships as well. And my
Mhm.
college degree, I spent a whole lot of money. I'm not going to disclose it. I spent a whole lot of money, but I would have to say probably 98% of it was free.
Nice.
Was free. So I tell students, if you're in the band, if you're a football player, if you cheerleader, because sometimes they do cheer scholarships, apply for those scholarships, because
Hmm.
if you can reduce your need for finances to finance that degree, why not? I mean, especially if you've been
Right.
playing football for free. You've been marching
Right.
up and down the field for free, but now they're gonna pay you to sit in a chair and play
Yes.
that instrument that you've been doing for free for the last how many years? Why not?
Yeah.
I see
And
so many students that go ahead.
I'm sorry, the students really aren't doing, they're paying for it because
Right.
you have to buy, uniforms, right? When the kids go
Yes.
on trips, you have to pay those
Uh-huh.
expenses. So you actually are paying, right, to
To
participate in
participate.
these activities. And so now get a reward for all of the work that you've put into it.
Yes.
Yes.
Become an RA, yeah, I don't wanna do programming. I don't wanna watch other people's children. Hey, I had my housing and meals paid for 3 years.
Yeah.
So definitely look into, and higher education is expensive. I'm not gonna sit here and,
Mhm.
you know, not
Act
address
like
the
it's not.
elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It is costly, but it's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, jobs are requiring, and it's a lot of jobs out there where you could be an entrepreneur where you don't need a college degree, but some jobs want you to have um, gone through a process, and the only way they'll know that you've gone through that process is with a college degree or with a
Mm-hmm.
certificate. So, a lot of people saying, "Well, you don't have to do that to be successful." You don't, but it sets you apart when the whole country is applying for jobs, and
Mm-hmm.
you have a college degree and some experience, or somebody just has some experience. Who do you think is gonna get the job? The college degree and experience, or just the experience? No, they're gonna go with the college degree and experience, because now you've shown them that, okay, this person could potentially become a manager because
Mm-hmm.
they can at least read and write, and you know on a larger scale. Not saying you can't read and write with not a degree, but it sets you apart. It sets you
Yeah.
apart. So, and that's what we do with young people. We try to make them competitive. And these are programs all over the country. They do the same work. They have the same mission, to support. And basically, the return on the investment is higher tax-paying citizens. So, because the more education you have, the more
The
money.
more money you make. Mm-hmm.
So the federal government sees that their return on their investment. Yeah, we spend about $20,000 per student for 4 years of participating, but hey, and when they're 10 years out of college, they're going to be paying ridiculous taxes because they have this college degree. Oh,
Yeah.
coin in the bucket.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You made a really good point because a lot of people will say you don't need a college degree.
Mhm.
And for part of what they're saying is true. Okay, especially if you're an entrepreneur. No, you may not need a college degree. However, when your business starts to grow, because that's the goal of an entrepreneur, you're not trying to
Mhm.
be in the hustle and grind season, year after year. And so once your business starts to grow, you're going to need to work with other people, right? And those of us who've been to college, though we dreaded it sometimes,
Mhm.
right? You learn how to work with groups. Remember group projects? Oh my gosh.
I love them though. I love seeing the students squirm and why are you doing this? Because that's what you do. When you work in teams. You
Yeah.
work on projects. You are accountable for your output. So definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're an entrepreneur, you have your own business. Now you have to collaborate with
Mhm.
other people, right? Or now you're hiring folks to work for you or work with you. And so you want to make sure that one, you know how to be the team leader,
Mhm.
right? And then you want to know how to choose people who have certain strengths because you don't want to pick your friend Bobby just because he's a cool guy that makes pudding, right? You want Bobby who can execute, you know.
Right.
Right. And so, no, maybe you don't need to have a college degree. You don't even have to graduate from college, but to have that experience or even to go to a trade school to have those experiences. And then sometimes it's the people that you meet along the way,
Right.
right?
And
That
let's talk
person
about
that,
trade school. Let's talk
hmm
about trade school. Whoever's listening.
yeah,
Sometimes I wish I would have gone to trade school as well, just because you can leave with a certificate making
lots of
very good
money.
money.
Yes.
Very good money. So don't I tell my students don't leave anything on the table. Do not
hmm
leave anything. If you sometimes because you don't want to the whole thing is to retire while you can still spend your money.
hmm
So you work early, you work hard while you're young. So when you have age and because the retirement age keep going up. And y'all know
right.
why it keep going up? Because people aren't putting into it. People aren't, you know, they're paying taxes like they are supposed to, but we're not getting into that's a whole
Uh-huh.
different conversation.
Right.
But definitely use those skills because you want to be able to create generational wealth.
hmm
And the only way you do that is by learning how to um, have your money grow for you.
hmm
But that's a whole different
Yeah.
conversation as well.
No, I think trade schools are very essential, and
Mhm.
with the way things are going now, I think a lot of parents should be pushing their kids towards trades. That's just my opinion, um, because with artificial intelligence growing, a lot of people are losing their jobs, right? But if you have a skill that artificial intelligence can't get onto. We have to have a human touch for a lot of things. If your air conditioning, goes out, you can't call iRobot, right? Right? You have to
All right.
call the HVAC technician, and if your air's out and it's hot, and we live in Georgia, we know this Georgia heat is hot,
Mhm.
and so if Mister Glenn, I'm getting the HVAC. If Mister Glenn comes in and say, "Hey, I could be there in an hour, but it's going to be $250 just for me to come out," Mister Glenn, just because he's going to school, right? To
Just to
become this
diagnose.
HVAC, just to diagnose. Mr. Glenn's like, hey, it's going to be $250 for me to come out. And because you're in the heat, you're like, whatever you say, Mr. Glenn, right?
Mhm.
And then he comes in, he fixes your air conditioning, and it's X amount of dollars. You have to put it out. And Mr. Glenn has spent 1 or 2 hours working on your air conditioning, and he has made more money
Mhm.
in that hour or two than the average person is making maybe in 2 weeks,
And also,
right?
I drive with my students as well. Get a trade and get an associate's degree.
Mm-hmm.
and be your own business person. Get an associate's degree in business, or get a bachelor's in business. The opportunities are so tremendous.
Yeah.
So don't just feel like, oh well, I don't want to be in college or whatever, But college it's about an experience, young people, and whoever's listening.
Uh,
Even adults have a good
yeah.
time too. It's about finding out who you are, finding out who you will become. Like Demonique said, fostering relationships. I still have friendships with people I went to school with 20 years ago. When we go to
Mm-hmm.
homecoming, it's an amazing experience, and I bring the pudding, and they're like, "Bobby, where's the pudding?" Um, it's an amazing experience. So as you're making the decision to go, like I tell people all the time, everybody should go. Everybody should at least experience it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can't afford it. We understand that. I couldn't afford it, but there are loan programs, and there are ways that you can have those loans forgiven. My loans were forgiven because I did get some graduate
Amen.
school loans. Yes, amen, amen. Whew. Did get some graduate school loans because I was like, hey, I'm grown. I could do this. But I worked in the public service uh, with Upward Bound, and I got that letter, and they said, "Congratulations, Bobby, your loans are forgiven." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" So
Did you feel lighter?
I feel lighter. I mean, it's just because it was needed. When I was going,
Yeah.
I was working part time. I was like, how am I pay for this other degree? Yeah, I just got one for virtually free, but it's all about decision making and setting yourself up, and knowing what you're getting into. Is financial literacy is so key. And I know I'm kind of getting off topic.
No,
Um,
that's okay.
but
I mean, because this
financial,
is all that you would talk to your Upward Bound students about, so
yes,
it's included.
financial literacy
Mm-hmm.
is about everything that you're going to need while you're going through this college process and life. You need to understand what a loan is, understand what an interest rate is, understand with what when you sign a promissory note, what are you promising to do? Because
Mm-hmm.
those things are all essential, especially for first generation low income students. Like, what am I getting myself into? You making an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
So when you either graduate or you cease to participate, either one of those things, if you have a loan, they're going to say, "Hey, we need our money back," and this is how you're going to do it. And if you say, "Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to buck the system, I'm not going to do it," they have your social security number. They're going to get it before you get it. They're going to garnish your check. So don't run from it. Understand what you're getting into, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely enjoy the experience. College is, and I never, like I said, I never saw myself working on a college campus, working in student development. Because I work with high school students, but sometimes I have to work in teams with other people on campus, and um, they listen to what, because we're right here with the students. We get them before they get to the college campus. So they, hey, Bobby, what's going on? What do you think? So definitely understand that college is an amazing experience, and just attach yourself to programs, organizations that can help you and get you to where you're trying to go.
Yeah. You made a point earlier. You're saying it's not just for young people, right?
Right.
And I would agree because I was a non-traditional college student.
Hmm.
When I graduated from high school, I went straight into the military. And so I spent 6 years in the military. And then afterwards, I went, to college. And so I was at the age where probably most students were leaving college. I was that age entering college.
Hmm.
But I would say that I still enjoy the experience. I try not to let the age difference between me and most of the students um, prevent me from communicating with them because I learned from them about services on the campus because some of them were living on campus, right?
Right.
And so I went before it became Georgia Southern. I went to Armstrong,
Okay.
and so
Go Eagles. I'm an
I
Eagle too.
and I went to the student union. They have that beautiful student union there, and I would go and sit into like the student government meetings just to find out what was going on when they had Armstrong Day. I went out there, I participated. So don't feel like because you are a non-traditional student that you just go to class and you go home. No, get involved in campus activities, because just because folks are younger than you doesn't mean you cannot learn from them. They can
Right.
learn from you and you can also learn from them.
And I have another thing with that too. We have
Mm-hmm.
a program for Upward Bound that serves veteran students. So
Really?
we do. It's called Veterans Upward Bound,
Uh-huh.
where they are on college campuses as well, and they cater only to students that are veterans. So they take them through they give them extra tutorial support, grades support, career development, enhancement, because, they already had a career, but basically utilizing those services that they received as a person enlisted. Now they can use those benefits with us. So, yeah,
Wow.
Savannah State doesn't have one, but there are definitely, and they're not as predominant as upper bound programs because they serve a smaller niche of students, but definitely. And so when you said that, I was like, oh, make sure you share that, Bobby. Yes. So we do have it's called
Nice.
Veterans Upper Bound.
Okay, and if someone's a veteran and they're listening to this, there's also Student Veterans of America. So while I was at Armstrong, we started a chapter of Student Veterans of America on the campus.
Write that down.
Yes, and so at the student union. Now it's been a while ago, okay, Bobby, but at the student union, it was like on the second floor. There's an office there just for it's like a veterans lounge. So there's like tables, you could do your homework. They had tutors in there. There were snacks that were available to the veterans. So yeah, if you're at a school, you're a veteran, check out with your VA coordinator. The veterans know who this person is because that's who they have to go to in order for the VA to pay for their colleges. Ask them, hey, do we have one of these organizations on the campus? And they can probably tell you about it. If they don't, you can start your own chapter. That is not the responsibility of the VA coordinator at the school, okay? That person works for the university, uh, but they are just there to basically communicate between the school and the VA. So most of them probably aren't veterans themselves. They just certify your classes and make sure you get your money. Okay. Yeah. So, Bobby, I remember seeing you pictures on your Facebook where you were taking kids on college tours.
Yes, that is another element of what we do. Yeah, we tell them about college from, a holistic. Oh, you register, you da 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 da, you do this, you send out your application, but we want them to have a real experience. So after they've lived on campus with us, and during the summer, we want to say, okay, we want you to see different campuses. So yeah, Savannah State. So we take our students on college tours. That is a requirement to basically give them an opportunity to see varying educational opportunities. So yes, we do. That's what we do. We get on a bus. We spend hours on a bus or planes to get them to see institutions in their real environment.
So, when you guys go to the schools, do they stay overnight on those campuses, or is it just like a day
It's,
tour?
it's normally like a day. We may spend about 2.5 hours and then of course if we have lunch, because we want them to see, excuse me, the cafeteria as well, and at least have an experience with that. So on average about 2 to 3 hours per institution.
Do you have a select group of schools that you go to, or how do you go about choosing the schools that you visit each year?
Um, it all depends. Proximity and the cost of gas is ridiculous. So
Mm-hmm.
uh we're not oblivious to that. So we have to
Mm-hmm.
understand that wherever's close.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and then the thing is too, we have a retention model. So our goal is to have the students retained in our program. So
Okay.
you can't do the same thing
Each
every
year.
year, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I love this opportunity to work with young people, because I don't like to be bored.
Mm-hmm.
And when you make the decisions and you can kind of alter their experience in a positive way, you create things. So um, we can't do the same thing every year, because that would be boring to young people. They already have a lot of things going on where they want to get disengaged early, like, oh, this is boring. So we can't do that. So we
Okay.
definitely but like I said, it's all based on proximity, where we
Mm-hmm.
was so if it's like I'm planning something now for this summer. We have our upper bound week is the last week of the summer before they check out to go on a week long experience. If they maintain their grades, if they made all A's and B's, and they have minimal disciplinary issues, I'll take a select group that have earned it the experience on an all expense paid trip after the summer. But that last week before we do that, we go on a college tour. So I'm planning Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina. I'm planning Allen University, and then I'm thinking of hitting Technical College of the Low Country on the way coming back in South Carolina. So that's going to be a South Carolina tour. It's only probably like 3.5 hours max away, but you're going to see we're going to get a bang for our buck.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, the cost of gas is tremendous. Even so, just think, if it's expensive for your car, just think about a charter bus. So,
Right.
just that's how I do the planning for college tours. I try to see what's in the area, what's reasonable, because that's the thing. You have to be reasonable,
Mm-hmm.
and just the best bang for our buck.
So the students that, like I said, Bobby's in Savannah, so you're in Georgia. When
Mhm.
you take the kids over to the students over to South Carolina,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, there's a waiver so that you don't have to pay out of state tuition.
Now it all depends.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's if it's counties that are close. So, and Chatham
Uh-huh.
County is right on um, the edge of what is it? Beaufort, South Carolina. So they have an articulation agreement where if you come from Chatham County, you pay the same rate as South Carolina, just at that institution. So it all depends. And mostly private schools don't allow that. And
Okay.
we let our students know, okay, we're taking you to this. We're just providing you an opportunity, but this is a private institution, so everybody pays the same amount. So,
Mm-hmm.
that's another part of financial literacy when you're choosing colleges. Understanding that when you go to a private school, no matter where you go, I mean, where you're from, everybody pays the same amount. But if you
Mm-hmm.
still go to an in-state school where you get in-state tuition, you pay that rate, which is a lot different than an out-of-state rate. So just kind of understanding when you're making your college decisions. I also tell my students to do a cost-benefit analysis. Yeah, you want to go to this dream school, but can you afford to go to this dream school?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have uh, the necessary package when you're applying to get financial support and scholarships? Because yeah, you're gonna get loans. Loans are good
Easy.
and
Mm-hmm.
easy to get, but you need
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that that free money.
Right.
So just kind of looking at how you can afford to pay for these institutions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wanted to mention that because it's as you're talking, certain things are coming back to me. Um, when I was, like I said, I was a non-traditional um, college student, and so though the VA gave me a certain amount of money to cover housing, I still needed some more money because I was a grown person with grown bills, right? And
Mhm.
so I did a work study um, at the school working for the VA.
Okay.
And our office was in the same office as the registrar. And so I just remember students coming in and kind of overhearing some of those conversations, the ones who had to pay out of state tuition. And some students, what they would do is, their parents understood, okay, for this first year, my kid is going to have to pay the out of state fees, but that kid would then get a job in the new state that they're going to school in, make sure they got a license there. That way they can establish residency. And right. So then at the start of the next school year, the parents were not responsible, or that student was not responsible for out of state tuition. But now you are a resident.
Great, 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 great hack. Very good. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. And I know we mentioned veterans. That's one thing I don't believe veterans have to worry about. The VA is going to cover whatever your fees are. The VA got you. So
Yeah. And then you spoke about work study. That's another
hmm
component of Upward Bound as well. We have what
hmm
we call a bridge program. So once
okay.
you've graduated from high school, so you graduated from whatever high school that we serve, and then you apply to Savannah State, you've been accepted. Now you can go to any school for these programs because people are like, oh, y'all recruit for Savannah State only. No, this is a
Okay.
federally funded program. We do not recruit for Savannah State. That's why we take you all over the country to see varying other institutions, because if we would just recruit for Savannah State, we'll just tell you about Savannah State. So
hmm
no. So whatever host institution that these programs are, they don't recruit for that institution. So I want to dispel that myth. Basically, when you've graduated, you can
hmm
come on to that institution's campus. That program will pay for, whatever allotment of summer classes they offer. They will, of course, allow you to live on campus again. So you graduated, but you're bridging to whatever school you go to, and they provide you with a work study experience. So I place my students on various offices, and they get free labor, but I pay for it. My grant pays for
Wow.
them to work, so they get whatever that allotment is at the end of the
hmm
summer, and they also have now what work experience
Yes.
that they can put on their resume. So it's we do a lot for young people. We do a lot for these students because, like I said, we want them to be prepared for what lies ahead.
Wow. I think that's so awesome. I had no idea about this bridge program.
Yes,
Yeah. So you already said it's federally funded. I know that was one of my questions, like where y'all get your money from.
yes, heavily funded.
Yeah. Um, so I had McCall Sims on.
Ah,
Yeah,
yes,
on one of the
she was one of
previous
my first
episodes.
students.
Yes, and it's so funny because you guys don't be fooled by Bobby's salt, okay? Bobby is really young.
I
You
know.
know, he's really young. He just got some wisdom, okay?
Yes.
But it was so funny when I was talking to McCall. She was like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Roberts, right?"
Yeah, that's me.
Right. Yes. But so I know that you all have worked with her for a few years dressing some of your students for the prom.
Yes, yes, yes.
Right. Yeah. So I want to know, do you have other students like McCall who come back and work with you all to help out the current students?
Yes, we actually have a facet of our program called Alumni Speaks. This was created, of course, during COVID. COVID really taught us some amazing, some amazing different things. I know it was, it's still relevant because COVID is still going on, but
Right.
to be able to adjust and pivot to continue to support students. So we created Telecommunication Thursdays, which has a
Okay.
component where we have an alumni speak. So we basically come in and we have varying alumni. We try to do it once a month where they come in and they share their Upward Bound experience. So we have former students, and they actually started off. We used to do this in person during our Saturday sessions as well as our summer experience, where we would have alumni come back and share with students about how Upward Bound has assisted them. So we've had pharmacists, we've had lawyers, we've had uh, teachers, we've had scientists, all from this program, and mainly all from when I was, because I'm the conduit. So these
Mm-hmm.
students have gone on and done those amazing things within the last 18 years. So having these current students see that, okay, they're not just making this stuff up. They really are helping students. They really are helping communities come back. And the with McCall and her group, my assistant director, which is one of my former students. Hey, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I mean, she came through. She was amazing. She's double degreed, and she is real. Her name is Jasmine Pendergraph. She's really passionate about what we do with young people, and she decided to say, hey, let me see if I can get some alumni to help dress the young ladies. So they would, select some young ladies. And I think they've done this probably 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they would find, of course, McCall is the stylist. She'll find people that have does hair, makeup. We have a former young lady named Courtney Pinkney. She was in Upward Bound. I don't know if Courtney Peak. She's now in Atlanta doing amazing hair. Um,
Yes.
she would come back and give back. So, these young people that have gone and done amazing things, they value the Upward Bound experience. And everybody who supports this initiative aren't UB alumni, but they value what we do to support young people. So they give of their time, they give of their resources to help these young ladies. And I'm trying to, because I want to be for everybody. So I'm trying to get the guys going next year. But to have these young people have an amazing prom experience.
Mm-hmm.
So because these young people are low income first generation, so they don't have a lot of resources, but they want to have a meaningful experience, and they don't know that they're getting selected. They're vetted, and then they get supported by the community to have a prom makeover.
Nice. I think that's such a awesome way to be rewarded for your hard work.
Hmm.
Yeah, because
So we think them.
high school in itself is such a memorable phase of life. I think maybe one of the most memorable phases of life, because as you talk to most people, when they talk about back in the day, their back in the day are their high school days, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so to know that, okay, you're doing really well while you're in high school. Now let's make another memorable moment of life, prom, extra special for you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I can't wait to see what you do with the young men, because, you know, guys want to look nice for the prom too.
Yeah.
I don't think it take as much for them. They get a nice haircut, suit, and some shoes, and they're happy.
Right.
Uh, right. So I can't wait to see what you all are able to do next year.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, how many students? If you, I don't know if you know the statistics, but how many students in the program actually go on to college?
Like I said, nothing is 100%.
Right.
Um, we have a 100% graduation rate, but college
Mhm.
enrollment sometimes, students go in the military, students decide to go to work. We live in a area where um, port logistics. So if you know anything
Mhm.
about the port system, you can make a tremendous amount of money, though it's hazardous work. But sometimes we have to students choose to go there. So I would say probably 80%. Um, if I had to coin it, 80% college enrollment.
I think that's a great number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think with the foundation of Upward Bound,
Mhm.
though they may choose, may not to go to college, they're not going to forget those skills that
Right.
they've learned. And like you said, even if they don't use it, they can pass it along to brothers, cousins,
Mhm.
neighbors, church members. They're able to share that information
Right.
with others. Yeah.
And see, the thing is,
So
we measure the enrollment right after high school. So a lot of students, go in. So I could get 100% of enrollment, but right after high school, that's how they're measured. So if they
right, I
take a
get it.
semester off,
Hmm.
I'm impacted. But
Hmm.
if they go immediately, which is the goal, yes,
Hmm. What is that called when they? I forgot what it's called. They don't go to college that first year. What do they call it? A something
a
year,
gap year,
gap year. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. And sometimes
Dreadful gap year.
maybe it's when some people they might need that little break,
Yeah.
to maybe go into the workforce. And when they get there and those dollars, I hate to make it about money because sometimes it's not about the money, but if we being real, sometimes when they go into the workforce, right, and they're working a certain job, and those dollars just aren't, you
Panning
know,
out. Hmm.
panning out like they thought they would. Like, okay, when you're at home with your mom, dad, or family members, you're like, oh yeah, I can make this money and I can do this or that. But if you decide to go out on your own, now you have to cover cost of living,
Hmm.
cost of food, transportation, clothing,
Hmm.
and those utilities. You're like, oh, this money is not going really far. And so sometimes it gives them a dose of reality that may motivate them to get some type of higher education.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they come right back to us, and we get them aligned.
Yeah. I remember, I think I was like 10 years old. And I think I attended the Savannah State Upward Bound summer program or some a facet of it, right? It's a long, long, long time ago, Bobby. But I just remember when I stepped on Savannah State campus, feeling like I was on a different world. Do you remember that TV show?
Mhm.
And that, like, I know there's a whole bunch of controversy about. It makes me want to cry. Why am I crying? But a lot of people have a lot to say about Bill Cosby, right?
Mhm.
But the show A Different World really was a different world.
Mhm.
It definitely exposed us to a different world. And I just remember like walking on the campus, and I was like, "Where's where's Whitley and Dwayne Wayne?" I was 10, Bobby. I was 10.
Yeah.
Right. But I think it opened up so many people, not just black people, but people of color. It opened them up to say, you know what, I could go to college. And they were able to relate, like they're not to I'm not trying to degrade them, but they realized that these characters, these were everyday people. It was nothing special about them. The characters on the show, they were them. You're like, oh, I'm that girl. I'm Jaleesa. You know,
Mhm.
I'm Whitley. I'm Dwayne. I'm Ron. They were able to relate to these students. They were normal people. And so I think that really caused a lot of people to go to college, you
Mhm.
know? Um, yeah, so I just wanted to share that little memory of when I went on Savannah State College at the campus at the age of 10. And I just remember, because I was little, so I just remember like the trees and looking around, and it was like this open area. And I was just like, wow, it was just a beautiful it still is a beautiful campus.
Like she said, the campus is beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
We're in a marsh area where it's just picturesque. Gets the right
Yes.
breeze.
The moss hanging from the trees. Like, I
Yes.
can't believe that made me cry. the,
I
the,
mean,
the
different a
memory.
different world is definitely, like you said, an amazing time in uh, an educational experience. So when you were watching that, and I want to see the statistics that what was the influx of students going to college around that time based on that
Hmm.
show, because I'm sure there was an influx of
Hmm.
students choosing college because definitely Bill Cosby gave us an opportunity to see a different world. Never said kind
Yes.
words, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it really was. And that show, because we know things happen on campuses, right? So it discussed some issues that happened in real life. You know, like there was the episode where Freddie was, attacked by someone. I remember the episode where it was Whitley and Freddie again. They couldn't go home for winter break, so they stayed at the campus. And they got dressed up and they went downtown to celebrate the holidays. So it talked about a lot of real issues, like for instance, Whitley and Kim, they were RAs. You spoke about RAs. Remember when, as the show progressed, there wasn't the house mothers, because I think that's how it started off. Um, oh gosh, I can't think of her name right now. Loretta Devine
Yeah.
was right. She was one of the original house mothers for the show. And so I think after that, Bobby, maybe they switched to RAs, because as the seasons progressed, when we saw like Jada Pinkett,
Mhm.
um, Kim and Whitley were RAs. Remember, they had their own little room and everybody else in the smaller rooms.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. We saw a lot. We saw a lot.
We do.
hmm Yeah. So, Bobby, I want to thank you for your time to come on to share with us about Upward Bound. And if you ever want to come on again to just talk about what is available, maybe not just to Upward Bound students, but potential college students, those, yeah, traditional and non traditional students. Is there anything that we may not have talked about already that you want to mention about entering college or the Upward Bound program?
Um, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to share with those who are interested in college. But just, I am one of those people, and people are like, that's all you talk about is education. That's all you talk about is education. Education is the greatest equalizer. It allows everyone on the same plane, everybody on the same opportunity, same page. So definitely choosing college is a very great experience. You learn about yourself, you learn about others, you learn about opportunities. College places you in varying situations that you have to learn how to navigate. And maybe 2-year institutions, 4-year institutions, certificate programs. You definitely will gain something from the opportunity. So as you navigate life, and then to see what certificates you can, if you want to do a change in careers, a certificate can do that for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've already had that 4-year or that 2-year college experience, you can now become a manager. You can now lead. And let's not talk about master's degrees, because if you get a master's degree, you're definitely going to move a lot faster in the leadership realm. So just choosing college, choosing to increase your opportunities for educational attainment, I think will not only benefit you, it'll benefit those around you and those who haven't even arrived yet. So um, when you talk about generational wealth, you going to school, you making those decisions, you learning how to save, then you showing that to others, it can only change our society, and that's what we're here for, to create change and leave a legacy. So, if you haven't learned anything else from this experience and this conversation, definitely choose college and use those programs that are around you to support you as you navigate that path.
Thank you very much. And Bobby, for those who want to find out more about Upward Bound,
Mhm.
maybe in their areas, how do you know the website? Like, how do they get in contact?
What I suggest, you can do Upward Bound, do a Google search, do
Okay.
Upward Bound in your area, or check out your high school counselors, because we are through school districts, but some programs are through community agencies. So that's why I said do an upward bound search, and have your filter to go in your area, and then you can see, because we're through Boys and Girls Clubs, we're through nonprofit agencies, but more than likely we are at host institutions of higher learning. So definitely, and we're across the country. So if you are in Idaho and you are interested, based on what you heard throughout this conversation, just do a Google search like that, and I guarantee you'll find something. Now we're not in every community, so sometimes you may have to take a drive, but it's worth, if you can be supported, because we get a lot of calls. Back in the day, actually last week, back in the day, you all served da 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 da. I said, well, things change. This program been around, 50 plus years, and regulations change. So we can only serve students that are in our targeted district. So we serve 5 public high schools, and that's how we get our students. So, and it might be different for different areas, but that's just how our proposals, and these proposals are written 5 years at a time, and you're governed by that proposal to support and do what you say you were going to do. So we can't deviate from what we agreed to the federal government that we said we would do.
Which schools do you work with in Savannah?
Beach, Savannah High, Jenkins, Johnson, and Groves. So those are our 5 targeted schools.
Okay. Well, again, thank you so much for coming on. I definitely appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yes. And I also appreciate the time of the listeners. So if you've enjoyed this conversation, I want you guys to leave us a comment to let us know, hey, have you been in Upward Bound? Do you know someone who's been in Upward Bound? Or if you're interested in Upward Bound, leave us a comment in the comment section of this podcast, or you can leave it on my Instagram page, At the Table with D. Monique, as well as Facebook and TikTok, all At the Table with D. Monique. D. Monique. I do know my name. And if you would like to be a guest on this show, if you have an interesting story that you feel could be impactful in someone else's life, or if you have a suggestion for a topic or even a snack, because y'all know I like snacks, please leave all that information in the comment section. My contact information is in the comment section under the podcast, so you can email me as well. So until next time, next Thursday, be blessed and peace.
Thank you for listening to At the Table with D. Monique podcast. Join us next week for a new episode.